I'm not gonna lie to you, knowing if your scenes are actually good or not takes practice writing and evaluating a bunch of scenes. And I know this is YouTube and you just want the quick and dirty checklist for making sure a scene is solid or not. So I'm gonna give you 3 principles to serve as a barometer for you as to whether or not your scenes are working. So here we go. 3 principles of effective scenes, and we're starting with the one I see the most from aspiring screenwriters. Principle 1, movement. Movement can include a lot of things, and the main one is either the story or one of the characters in the story moves closer to or further away from their goal or along their arc. But so many scripts I read don't have either. So if your scene has neither, dump it. Oh, but I need it, aspiring writers will cry out. No, you don't, Skippy. Nothing is happening. No one cares. But movement also includes the pace of a scene. You've probably heard the phrase of starting the scene as late as possible and getting out as fast as possible, but that has to actually happen. Characters walking into a room and saying hi and catching up, boring. Let me show you. Rupert walks into his boss's office. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Rupert. You have a good weekend? Yeah, kids had lots of Little League games, so it was busy. What about you? Oh, just some yard work. What's going on? Well, I found a problem with the quarterly report. The numbers just don't add up. I think we're off by $500,000. And it looks like Steve is skimming off the top. That is so boring. Yes, I realize that's how it might happen in real life, but so boring. Holy cow, Skippy, don't be doing that. Here's the same thing, but a lot less words, a lot more movement. Rupert barges into Catherine's office. There's a problem with the quarterly report. We're off by $500,000. Run it again. I've run it 5 times and it looks like Steve is skimming off the top. So much better. There is movement. There are things going on. So all of that non-movement stuff you got going on in your scenes, you need to cut it. And at the end of the day, if nothing is happening in the scene that is story or character related, you need to dump the whole thing. Principle number 2 for effective scenes, reversal. All good scenes have some type of reversal, but only if you set up the scene properly. So this principle actually carries with it several elements, and at its basic level, you need to understand that scenes are micro stories. And what is a story? Well, a story is about someone who wants something badly, is having trouble getting it, and they get it or they don't. Scenes often have an Act 1, an Act 2, and an Act 3. There's some status quo stuff going on, that's Act 1. Someone wants something, Act 2, they get it or they don't, end of Act 2, and then there is fallout as a result. So Rupert and Catherine. The status quo is Catherine is working, Rupert interrupts. That puts us into Act 2. Rupert wants her to acknowledge there's a problem with the quarterly report, and he said he wants her to look at it. There's a problem here. Okay, now, end of Act 2, enter the reversal. What if Catherine's response is, well, yeah, I know. What do you mean you know? Well, I told Steve to do it. Wanted to test you to see if you'd catch it. Congratulations, you get to keep your job today. Now, Rupert thought he was doing what he should be doing, only to find out he was being tested and was about to lose his job. And now he's wondering on what kind of ground he's standing. He thought he was secure in his job, but reversal, he is not. He's barely allowed to keep it. He also thought Catherine would be very upset by the news he was bringing, but reversal, she already knew the news. Reversals make scenes interesting, and they keep your story from feeling predictable. And when you do that, the audience begins to wonder what is going to happen next. It heightens the hope and fear you should be generating when you tell a story. And you can have reversals on lots of things. A couple enters a scene thinking things are going well between them, only to end the scene with them doubting the future of their relationship. Or a boss confronts an employee and the boss has all the power in the scene at the beginning, only for the employee to flip the tables, and at the end of the scene the employee has more power than the boss. There's lots of ways to do reversals, and all good scenes have them. The last principle of an effective scene is principle number 3, direction. This one is solely for the sake of the audience because you should be concerned with both story and storytelling elements. Storytelling is about the audience. And in this, the audience should have an idea of what the next scene or 2 will be when the end of a scene is reached. So you have to think of your story as a bit of a linear thing. This, then this, then this, and each one must make sense based on what has come before. And if the audience can't track where you're going, your storytelling is just all over the place. It's not doing what it should be doing. Now, yes, every once in a while you want to confuse the audience to throw them off a little, but this is rare. Generally, if the audience feels lost, they're out, and you are writing a script that's meant to be read, so don't lose the reader. If you suddenly have a flashback or go to a whole new location that no one has talked about ever before, the audience is confused. But if the main character discovers a possible cure for a deadly bioweapon is in Casablanca, then they should be going to Casablanca in the next scene or two. That's what we expect. That's where we're going. They're headed there. But if the next time we see them, they're now in Mexico City, that makes zero sense. Your story must track the right direction. So think about this very video for a second. I told you at the beginning that there are 3 principles for effective scenes. You didn't know what they were when I started, but you knew there were going to be 3, and direction is the 3rd one. But if, during the 2nd principle, when I was talking about reversals, if I suddenly shifted the focus of this video to talk about character arcs in depth, you'd be frustrated because you wouldn't understand why we're talking about that. I thought we were talking about scenes. It might be valuable information, but that wasn't what you signed up for when you started watching this video. And if I had ended the video talking about character arcs and never mentioned the 3rd principle, you would have been pissed off and hit the thumbs down. By the way, if this is helpful, fun buttons do like to be pressed. So effective scenes should imply a future direction. It helps the audience track with what's going on. Now, if you want more information about building scenes, I have a whole section devoted to building and writing scenes in my fast track course, so you should check that out. Links are below. If you'd rather get a high-level view of character arcs, because I do talk about characters and arcs of those characters in the fast track also, but if you want a higher level view, you can get that by watching this. Thank you for watching. Again, fun buttons and links below, and when you tell a story, make sure your scenes are working effectively and tell a story that matters. See you later.